Hi there. Today we read chapter 15 of Enid Blyton's The Land of Far Beyond. In the last chapter, the travelers got waylaid by dismay and despair, who took them in as prisoners. Rescued by cheerful comfort and courage, they now continue on, and we can only hope they do not get distracted again. But before we continue, if you have not watched the previous chapters, please do so before continuing. Welcome to my space of make-believe. With just words we shall weave places and people, adventures surreal. I am Tell a Story, and this is an invitation to come with me. Chapter 15. A Pleasant Night. Hasty and hurry come to grief, cautious, prudent, and careful, a gay city, a wonderful procession, Lady Extravagance and Lord Arrogance, Lily and John leave the company, a great disappointment. Comfort and Cheerful were pleased to put up the 5 children and Mr. Scornful for the night in their pleasant little cottage. It will be a bit of a squeeze, but never mind, said Comfort, who made a joke of everything and didn't seem to mind turning her kitchen into a bedroom for 5 children. Mr. Scornful can go to her cousin Courage for the night, but I and Cheerful will look after you 5 and see that you set off tomorrow dry and well fed. We meet very nice people on our way, as well as very nasty ones, said Patience, giving Comfort a hug, and the nice ones more than make up for the nasty ones. Everyone was glad to sit around in old blankets whilst their wet clothes were dried. It was fun to nibble the ginger biscuits and eat bread and milk. It was lovely to watch Comfort and Cheerful putting down mattresses on the floor and joking about who was going to sleep at the edges and fall off. Are we very far from the land of far beyond? Asked Anna. It seems a very long way. Well, it isn't so far really, said Cheerful, but because of the difficulties on the way, it always seems very distant. Cheer up, you'll soon be there. The children slept well that night, and in the morning awoke as merry as blackbirds in spring. They dressed in their dry clothes, had breakfast of porridge and milk and some fresh fruit from Cheerful's garden, and then waited for Mr. Scornful. He soon came along, quite merry and bright too. It's quite a tonic to spend the night with a fellow like Courage, he told Comfort and Cheerful. He puts heart into me. I feel I can face anything now. Oh, Courage is wonderful in what he can do to people, said Comfort. I've seen the most miserable wretches change in the night once they meet Courage. Now, are you ready? Here is food for you. It will last out the day. The 6 travellers said goodbye to their kind friends and once more set out on their journey. The sun shone again. It was warm. The plain of weariness was behind them. A pleasant country lay in front, full of brilliant flowers and singing birds. They almost ran along. They were all quite determined that nothing whatever, would make them turn away from the path that day. They would travel on, and maybe tomorrow they would come at last to the gates of the land of far beyond. Soon they came to a little hill. Can we go round it? Said Anna. It's only a small hill, but it looks pretty steep. The path goes over the hill, said Lily. Bother! It always seems to take the most difficult way. It can't possibly matter going round the hill instead of up, said John, who always preferred to take the easy way if he could. Well, it may matter, and probably does, said Mr. Scornful, and he took hold of John's arm. We go up the hill, my boy, so come along. And up the hill John had to go, though he sulked a little as he went. Halfway up they heard the sound of groans, and came across 2 people lying beside the path. Both of them were bruised, and one had sprained his ankle. What's the matter? And who are you? Asked Mr. Scornful, stopping beside them. We tried to cut up the hill just there, said the man, pointing to where it seemed as if a short cut could be made. But the hillside gave way, and we fell down, cutting our heads and bruising ourselves. I have sprained my ankle too, I think. My sister is hurt too. I am called Hasty, and my brother is Hurry, said the girl, who was weeping beside her brother. We tried to get on our way as quickly as we could, and this is the result. More haste, less speed, said Mr. Scornful. Oh, be quiet, said Hurry impatiently. People are always saying that to us. We hate being slow. Only stupid people are slow. Look at that lot there, creeping up that hill. Who are they? Asked Peter, watching 3 people climbing the hill below them. They came very quickly indeed. The first one is Mr. Cautious, said Hurry, sitting up to look. The second one is Priscilla Prudent, and the third is Mr. Careful. What a set of sillies they are! We started out with them, but soon left them behind. All the same, they will get to the top of the hill before you do, said Mr. Scornful. Here you are, bruised and bleeding, unable to climb for a time at any rate, and they will certainly be at the top in an hour or two's time. Help us up the hill, begged Hurry, standing up to see if his ankle would bear his weight. Oh, my goodness, I have twisted my ankle. Give me your arm. You had better wait until your 3 friends come along, said Mr. Scornful. I could give you a hand, but you would be too heavy, you and your sister, for these children to help. Wait for your friends. All right, groaned Hurry, sitting down again. But oh, they drive me mad with their go more slowly, don't rush your things, take heed, be prudent. There's a middle way in all things, said Mr. Scornful. You needn't be too cautious, surely, but you need not be too hasty either. Well, we'll go on. Your friends will soon be here to help you. The little party set on up the hill. They looked back after a while and saw that Mr. Cautious, Priscilla Prudent, and Mr. Careful had come up to Hasty and Hurry and were helping them up the hill. Well, that's all right, said Peter. It will do Hasty and Hurry good to go more carefully for a bit. I'm glad we didn't have them as companions. It would have been most tiresome to have to race along with our heavy loads. They came to the top of the hill. They had hoped to see the land afar beyond from the top, but alas, it was hidden in the blue mists that hung over the valley between. But to the right rose a very gay city. Look! cried Lily in excitement. What's that place? Oh, do look at all the flags and banners. Doesn't it look gay? How I'd love to go there. Maybe the path leads through that town, said John longingly. We'll see. Hark, I can hear bands playing too. Can you? Everyone stood still and listened. Sure enough, the sound of gay music played by bands came up the hillside and made everyone's feet want to march and dance. It was a long time since the little company had heard music like that. The flags and banners waved in the breeze. Shining towers rose up from the city and glittered in the sun. It almost looks like the City of Happiness, but smaller, said Lily. Oh, I do hope we go there. Come along down the hill, and let's see if the path leads there, said Peter eagerly, and the whole company went quickly down the winding path that led around the hillside, going lower and lower at each turn. The path ran towards the gay town, and the children were delighted. They almost ran along, so eager were they to go to the town and see the sights and hear the bands. Well, luck that the path goes to it, cried Patience, and what luck that there seems to be a feast or gala day on. That will do us all good. Just then there came the sound of rolling wheels and horses' hoofs. The company turned and saw a most magnificent procession coming along their narrow path. Look at that marvellous coach, cried Peter in delight. Is it made of gold? It shines as brightly as gold anyway. In the carriage sat a broad man with a wide smile on his face. He was dressed very richly, and his mass of oiled curls fell heavily around his white face. He waved to the children as his carriage rolled by. Then came another carriage, and then another. In each were wonderfully dressed people, all with amiable smiles on their faces, and all with waves of their hands for the staring travellers. Men and women on horseback galloped by. They laughed and talked as they went, waving and smiling to the delighted children. Then the biggest carriage of all came rolling up, and to the children's greatest surprise and joy, it stopped just by them. In it were two handsome people, a man and a woman. The woman leaned from the carriage and spoke in a sweet but loud voice. "Well, little ones, are you too on your way to our beautiful city of folly? How tired and careworn you look! Would you like a lift?" A servant, standing behind the carriage, hissed to the staring children. "Have you no manners? Bow to Her Highness Lady Extravagance and His Lordship Sir Arrogance." The children bowed and curtsied. Lily spoke up at once. "Yes, we are on the way to the city, Your Highness. Is it very far? We should very well like a lift if it is." "It's far enough," said the lady, her great eyes brilliant as she looked down at the waiting company. "Arrogance, we can take these people with us, can't we?" "As you like," said Arrogance. His handsome face looked rather annoyed as he stared at the travel-stained group below. "But hurry now, we mustn't be late for the great feast. After all, we are the guests of honor, you know." "I won't come in the carriage," said Mr. Scornful. "Let the children go." "I think I'll not go either," said Peter, suddenly feeling that he didn't altogether trust this glittering company in carriages and on horseback. "I think I'll walk with Mr. Scornful." "But I don't want to go without Peter," said Patience. "Anna, don't you go either. Keep with us." The beautiful lady put out her hand with a kindly gesture and caught hold of Lily's arm. "Little girl, you are a pretty thing. Come with me and I'll find you a dress that will show off your dark curls and your slim figure. Shall I dress you in red silk or in blue satin? And you, little boy, with your merry face and dancing eyes, you shall have a cloak as grand as Sir Arrogance, with an edging of silver stars." Lily and John drew breaths of delight. "May we really have a lift in your grand carriage?" asked Lily shyly. The beautiful lady opened the door of a shining carriage and pulled Lily in beside her. "Come along," she said to John. "You shall join in the gala with us. You shall share the feast. Hear the bands playing to welcome us? What fun we shall have! Won't you really come too, you others? After all, you say you are going to the city. Well, you can have a lift in the carriage behind if you like." She shut the door, and her shining carriage rolled away with Lily and John beaming inside. The two children were mad with joy. After all their hard travels, it was wonderful to be in a great carriage and be whisked away to where music was playing a dancing tune. Peter put his hands on his sister's arms. "I know you'd like a lift too," he said, "but somehow I do feel we'd better not. After all, we know that the city can't be far away because we can hear the bands playing. So it won't do us any harm to walk." They watched the rest of the procession rolling by in grand carriages or galloping swiftly on great horses. Then, when the last horseman had gone, the four set out together once again. The music of the bands grew louder and louder as they came near to the great city. The flags flew merrily in the stiff breeze, and they could hear the laughter of crowds of people. A wall ran round the city, but the road ran up to a big gateway and disappeared under an enormous stone arch. "We are nearly there," said Peter, pleased. "In a few minutes we shall be through the gateway, and then we'll go and find Lily and John and have a great time with them." But suddenly Anna stopped in the greatest disappointment and dismay. Her face was so doleful, and her eyes suddenly so full of tears, that the others were amazed. "What's the matter, Anna? What is it?" asked Peter. "Quick, tell us. Do you feel ill?" "No," said Anna, tears falling down her cheeks. "No, but look, look!" She pointed forwards and downwards to the path they were walking on, and the other three looked and saw. The path did not go through the great gates of the merry city. It curved to the left and went round the great city walls. "It doesn't go through the city," sobbed Anna. "We can't go in. And oh, the music does sound so lovely." The end of chapter 15. Uh-oh, what will the travellers do? John and Lily are in already. The four will now need to decide to go in to get them and perhaps have a little fun while they're at it, or keep to the narrow path, what do you think they will do? We will find out soon enough. If you would like to read this book, you can search it up online. It is in the public domain. Otherwise, please join me in the next chapter. I would love to have you for company. Till the next time, go grab yourself a book, read, and let your imagination take you anywhere. Be anyone and do anything. And do share your reads in the comments. Would love to know. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.